But you two gentlemen got the pleasure of watching AEW Revolution. And given by the chat the group chat that we were in, it seems pretty interesting. So we're going to start with right out of the box with AEW Revolution Fallout and Breakdown. I did not watch this. You couldn't have paid me to watch it.
Okay.
But so I will now give the stage to you two gentlemen who have watched it. What were your thoughts? What were your opinions? What exactly happened for anybody who missed it? Go ahead.
So I'm not really going to start. I'm going to allow Greco to start first. Okay. But I'm going to explain something within context so you can understand. Greco said he was going to walk into watching the show without any type of expectations or anything like that. I walked into the show the same way. However, a little bit of a caveat. I had like 4 edibles. So what allowed me to stay awake for the show all the way to the end, surprisingly, because usually by 9:45 I crashed out. The fact that I took a nap in between before the show started and woke up like, oh. So go ahead.
Okay. So I crashed out after the Toni Storm match, but it had nothing to do with the pay-per-view. I had to be up at 3:40 in the morning, and I finished watching it this morning. Okay. I'm going to try to do this with a good and a bad because I felt there was good at this pay-per-view. Okay. So we open up with Hangman and MJF.
Yeah.
Okay. The openers that go 25 minutes are driving me crazy. Okay, especially, and now that's the bad. Now I will give a good. One thing AEW is getting good at is their video packages. They showed one at the end of 0 Hour because I just happened to throw it on 5 minutes before, and they showed one building up for this match. But then you don't show it on the pay-per-view. So if I didn't watch 0 Hour, I would have no clue why these two guys are wrestling each other. Okay, the match was solid. I felt both guys did what they had to do until one spot. One spot, and Tony, I'm going to say this, and your fucking head's going to explode. Okay? MJF hits Hangman with a jumping tombstone onto a chair that doesn't even fold. Like, he hits this onto a chair on the floor, and Hangman's still able to get into the ring for the 10 count.
Not just that. Greco, not just that. What did Hangman do?
He fires up. He gets up, and then he's Super Hangman all of a sudden. Like, every match, this is going to be the issue you're going to see throughout this whole entire breakdown. Every match, I said this week, is not WrestleMania main event. Every match does not have to be Game 7 of the World Series. You can have just a really good, fun match. Now, you've been building this match up for weeks, so I get you on a little more. It was the wrong match to open then. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. MJF, predominantly, if you watched over the years, has always been opening the show since he became a major act for the company. So I understood why that was going to be a thing where if it wasn't him, it was going to be Ospreay's match to open. Like you said already, the issues are that they're treating every match like it's a WrestleMania match. I just had a conversation with Mike Donovan most recently about how I feel about the state of wrestling, or the state of indie wrestling rather, where it's always the constant, everybody's just trying to do cool, fancy moves and look for the next spot, as opposed to actually entertaining the audience. Now, this is on a grander stage, but it still comes off as if it's just for, probably the people in the back sometimes.
And Malik, not to jump ahead too far, because we don't have to get much into this match. And the most over faces in the company are the Hurt Syndicate. I felt that tag title match would have been perfect to open. Because the Outrunners are over as can be. The Hurt Syndicate's over as can be. It would have been a fun, quick 10-minute match that would have got the crowd off hot. And then you could have went into MJF and Hangman.
Well, I mean, we already know that one of Tony Khan's weakest points is actually booking cards. He does not have structure correctly.
Yeah. Oh, and you see that with this card. Next we get Mercedes versus I'm gonna butcher this girl's name. Help me out, Malik.
Momo, what wannabe, not Wananabe,
whatever. And,
listen,
go ahead.
You sound like a dog with a peanut butter on the roof of his mouth.
the thing with Mercedes Moné. I will never discredit or take away anything that she's done over the last decade within this wrestling business. All of her matches, believe it or not, are pretty solid. The only issue is the gimmick and where it's going and how much longer she's going to be champion. I said to you guys, I think the goal is to have her be the longest TBS champion since Jade Cargill's no longer with the company. Put it on somebody different.
Well, here's my issue with that. What happened? Oh, Momo is Japanese for peach. So if anybody's wondering what her name translates to, it's Peach Watanabe.
She's a Peach wannabe? Like, I don't understand.
Peach wannabe. Pretty much. Anyway, Jade Cargill was the first TBS champion, yes?
Yes.
And
508 days.
508 days. Then she won. This show should end it.
Tony, because the set was from 8 p.m. to 11 a.m. Excuse me, 1 a.m. Almost at 11. Listen, it's like the extra hours for no reason, if we're being honest.
And welcome to the show, Kevin. Thank you for hanging out with us. So wait a minute. You're telling me that the show, it went till 1 a.m.?
Oh, no. It went to 12:05.
Okay, but it was scheduled to 1 o'clock.
Correct. And mind you, the pre-show starts at 6:30. That's too much.
6:30.
Wait,
that's too much.
The fuck?
Yeah.
That's too much.
The only thing that kind of saves, even though the main event we will get into is fucking. That was the biggest mistake of putting this card together.
Really?
Yes, I will say the only thing that saves them with the crowd is that it's in LA. So when it started here at 8 o'clock at night, it was starting there at 5 in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, I always say this even about indie shows. Just because the building gives you the time doesn't mean you have to use every minute of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be there till fucking. You don't have to be there for 7 hours.
They had at least 3 or 4 matches on the pre-show. WWE, I'm not crazy about where they have basically 2 hours to kill before the show. Like, all you're doing is showing me the either the vignettes or the video packages that are going to be put together that you're going to show on the card.
On the card,
for that, just don't do anything.
Yeah. The only thing I will say I like what they did was, and I don't know who the Boom guys are. I don't know who these Costco guys are. Maybe I'm just getting to being the old man in the room, okay? I have TikTok, and I don't know who these guys are. This dumb little fat shit that comes out and just goes like this on its face for fucking 45 minutes. I don't get. However, AEW is smart enough to do all of their celebrity stuff for the most part on the pre-show. So you get you get all that nonsense going on beforehand, and I don't have to watch it on the main card.
I'd rather get slapped in the fucking eardrum and black eye as opposed to watching them.
Let me just quickly read this by Kevin. Main event was not for the AEW champion. The champion was a briefcase champion. I don't know what this means. Is he still?
Well, we will get to that later.
Okay. Kevin hits with a little bit of foreshadowing.
Kevin, you will be recognized later on, my friend. After the Mercedes match was that the tag titles next?
No, I think that was Swerve and Ricochet. Maybe.
Oh, Swerve and Ricochet. Solid match. Again, doesn't have to be a 25-minute, all-out thing. I don't like the idea of that title being for a number one contender spot. I don't think it needed that. I feel like it's just, something else to throw onto it. They tease that, Nana and Swerve have issues. Nana leaves, comes back later on. They're doing the whole Bret Hart PCO thing for the jacket again.
That's it.
And Swerve gets the win. Swerve, I will say, Swerve looks like he's starting to bulk up a little bit. Swerve is looking good. Like Swerve, you could tell is getting ready for something big again.
I enjoyed their match. I thought it was pretty solid. Ricochet has won me over as a heel in the company. I'm just hoping that they do more with him.
Lucha Underground reunion. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess. I mean, looks like I've officially given up on it. I'm not gonna lie to you boys. I haven't watched AEW in the last 3 weeks. I can't subject myself to it.
So here's the crazy thing. As I'm actually, I put it on in the background just to help you all understand something. The first two matches take up the whole first hour, pretty much take up the majority of the first hour of the show,
Jesus
with a
Christ.
little bit of the third match coming in.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous. I understand giving them time, but you were draining your audience with these really super long matches.
Yes, and then what's happening is you're trying to do the same structure in every match. You're starting off very slow because you know the last match just took a lot out. You know, but every time you're going up that chart, then you're dropping down. It's getting harder and harder for the audience to keep coming back up with you.
I guess Ricochet finally found a character, and the man getting reaction like a heel now. I guess. I mean,
Sorry, it was a reflex. My
Hey,
bad.
listen, they
It's a
all gotta
reflex.
find their thing, right? Jey Uso has the yeet. He has that weird noise thing that he makes. Right? Are we?
The Jadakiss, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now what else happened? So now we're fucking an hour in, and we're just onto a third match, which is Ricochet.
Yeah, that was the third match.
What's after that?
You had Brody King and Okada, pretty solid match. Okada won. Okada's been the Continental Classic champion for at least a year now, and as much as people enjoyed Okada from New Japan days, there's not much of what's going on. This is basically Okada's WWE version of a gimmick, if you want to call it that, here in the States. And I'm not crazy about it. It's just like, just let him go out there and wrestle. I don't expect him to cut great promos. And, it's a little funny every once in a while, the whole bitch thing at random, but all the time now.
Yeah.
I think
And you served him up. You basically just served him up the House of Black because you wanted to show that we're really serious about these guys.
So we were literally now, as I've been fast forwarding as I'm talking to you guys, an hour and a half, 4 matches have transpired now.
Jesus Christ! All right, so then what was next?
The Outrunners taking on the Hurt. Yes.
Yeah. And the crowd was in the Outrunners are like this 80s gimmick team. They're very entertaining.
Now, the Hurt Business are supposed to be heels, or are they?
Yeah, no, they're heels. Now here's the funny thing, Greco. The way the story, because I know Tony, like you said, Tony hasn't been watching, so allow us to give you more context.
Right.
It was originally looking like it was going to be the Murder Machines, Lance Archer, and the hell's the other meathead? Brian Cage, meathead. Yeah,
Jack Hugh Jackman.
Muscle Hamster.
Yeah, Muscle Hamster is wild. However, the Outrunners wound up taking the spot because, whoever won that tag match, which I think took place actually on Dynamite, not Collision, surprisingly, and the Outrunners got the W. My thing is the Outrunners have become a hot thing, I guess, through being an ROH and then making it on to,
Collision,
and then Dynamite. What happened to tag teams like FTR?
Yeah, what happened to them?
I don't. They were coming out with the Outrunners. I thought at some point we were going to get a heel FTR team.
Like what are we doing? Huh?
I think we're going to wind up getting FTR versus Hurt Syndicate at the Texas show. All Out, All In, whatever it's called.
Because the way these guys won the match, where they basically hit their finishes and did it back to back on the tag team, I was just like, who's really going to beat these guys for the titles?
Right. No one should. Right. I said to you yesterday, not even Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is a specimen in himself. Shelton Benjamin is a monster compared to anyone standing in the ring on the AEW roster.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. The last thing I remember of us watching AEW was them beating the crap out of Private Party when they won the belts.
Yeah.
They hurt.
I just remember seeing the two of them, and I felt like this is like two men playing with boys. They're like two grown-ass men playing like a sport with kids who are just like learning the game. And I feel like I don't know why they're over. If I asked you why are they over, could you explain it to me? Why they're baby faces when they're trying to be heels?
I think people just like them. People just like.
Saying. So
it's crazy for Bobby Lashley because Bobby Lashley, before he went to TNA, and even when he first came back to WWE, he was just like stale. Like nobody cared about him.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like a switch just happened, and people started to like him. We used to fight about this all the time because I've always liked Lashley. Okay,
I just, I always go back to the early days with the soft-spoken, hard-hitting. Remember that dumb?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's what's funny is Lashley came in 2005 actually, so it'll be his 20th year in professional wrestling, and I remember those vignettes and the ridiculous things that they put him against. They put him against Simon Dean and Simon Dean lost. He had to eat all these cheeseburgers. This was really ridiculous stuff that he was involved in when he first came around.
Yeah.
But they were trying to find ways to make him a major player, which they eventually did.
Yeah.
And he's still a big deal.
Yeah, I always say that his TNA run is what really, when he came back to, was what got him back to WWE for that big run that he did have when he came back.
Mm-hmm.
It was, he had to hone. A lot of people like, listen, you just said it yourself. Sometimes people have to leave. They need a fresh coat of paint somewhere else. Even Ricochet apparently is becoming at least memorable to where people are talking about him. So you might sometimes, like I said this a couple weeks ago, that I think Ricochet needed to go to AEW because it was a dead end at WWE for him. Like he had hit, I think, his end of his rope, and I don't think there's really anywhere else he could go. I think he needed this so he can show them that he can break through onto the other side, and I hope it works out for him.
Yeah, he's the only guy in I think WWE history to win all the mid card titles.
Yeah, but like I said, you guys, you bring in a guy like Bobby Lashley, a seasoned same thing with Shelton, decorated veteran, right? These guys, they look like I said, they're playing with kids at this point.
Yes,
and it's not. I don't know the outlanders, outliers, whatever the fuck they're called. I don't
Outrunners.
Outrunners, whatever the fuck they're called. I think I've seen them run in and help people, but I've never seen their work. So,
it's a good gimmick. They come out like it's like the old VHS tape, like when they're coming out. Their big thing is they do a double elbow drop where they both scream, "You son of a bitch," and they clap hands.
Tony's still not impressed. He finds it to be outlandish. That's the reason why I kept coming up with all those different words. I know that's what you were looking for.
But at the same time, it just in the tag team division now. It's I agree with Malik. Like who are you actually going to put? FTR might be the only guy that could possibly take the titles off.
I would say so, yeah, because at least I believe that they're a seasoned tag team that have a proven track record. There are other tag teams in AEW. Like, and again, I don't want to go backwards, but I refer you to when they beat the shit out of Private Party to take the titles. They did this beautiful thing for Private Party. They put the belts on. They have this big celebration in the ring, only to get the shit kicked out of them a couple of weeks later and lose the belts to these two guys. It's hard to believe that any tag team you put in front of them are going to kind of factor any kind of challenge because of, like I said, the resume. Bobby Lashley, multiple-time world champion. Shelton Benjamin, decorated champion. They've been in WWE, had major success. They're with MVP still. You basically took their gimmick from WWE and moved it over here and changed it from the Hurt Business to the Hurt Syndicate. It's the same fucking gimmick. Like, you didn't do anything different.
Now, granted, nothing has changed, Tony. The way they were during the pandemic, the way they are now, they're still older.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a positive. All right. I want to move forward and I want to discuss the AEW Women's World Championship. Mariah May, Toni Storm, the Hollywood ending.
Was that the name of the match?
Yeah.
Yep. And the reason why I sat there in that pause moment is I wanted it to end. I wanted it to end because there's this. These are both very attractive women, and it's already bad enough that some people, men and women alike, are not crazy about female wrestling for whatever reason. You're entitled to your opinion. Both of these two are good in the ring with what they do.
Okay.
The blood was so much. So much blood on this show.
Yeah.
Like, they both look like two Ric Flairs with tits. It's the amount of blood that was just pouring out of them.
Jesus Christ, really that bad, huh?
It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
What led to the blood? Was it a good spot at least?
It was
no,
pile driver on the steps to Toni Storm from Mariah May. Is what led to all the blood.
That's where it started, but it gets worse. It gets much worse because we turned it into a fucking a pung toe tie death match where they both wrap their hands in fucking tape and put their hands in glass.
Yeah, they thought they were Axel and Ian Rotten Taipei death match where they both basically taped up their fist, dipped it in the buckets, and just started throwing hands. Yeah, Tony. Yeah. We're the best come to wrestling.
Apparently, they had broken glass in the bucket, and they taped their fist up. Yeah, maybe no.
Okay.
Go ahead one second.
Go.
Was the tape thing like always a part of it?
No, it just came out of nowhere.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to see if maybe they tried to make it like, oh no, this is going to be the Hollywood ending, and I'm gonna make your. Yeah, but clearly you can't. Okay, so go ahead. What happened?
The ending spot was the only spot with a weapon that made sense because Toni Storm grabbed the shoe and started fucking going crazy on Mariah May's head, and that's how this all started. Okay. Here's my two biggest issues besides the blood with this whole thing. One, this was so rushed, and you could have done so much more with this whole feud. But because this match was in California, in LA, and you wanted the Hollywood ending, aka the Samoan combat match, aka the no DQ match, aka the every other no holds barred match, every match, you just have to give it a special name now. It's all a no disqualification match, unsanctioned, all the same shit.
That is.
But because you wanted to give it this name, you did it so rushed. And on top of that, you only gave them 12 minutes. You've built this match up for a year with this feud, and you give them 12 minutes.
What'd you say?
I could assure you that was real blood, my friend.
Agreed.
There was nothing gimmick about it because you could see it pouring out of Toni Storm. I'm looking at it right now. I can see it pouring out of her face.
Was it a botch in terms of did she kind of cut herself a little too deep?
No, this is meant to happen that way. This isn't the first time.
I think on the pile driver spot, actually, Pun said that to me when it happened. I think she may have gone a little deep.
That's what I'm saying. Because remember, it reminds me of that Eddie Guerrero versus Bradshaw where he cut the Bane.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of a certain wrestler at FVW hitting his head on the thing.
Yeah. Well, when you use a Stanley workout blade instead of the proper blade, that's going to happen. You're going to open yourself up like roast beef.
But anyway, Malik, you said something last night, and I couldn't agree more. I don't want to see either one of these two on TV for at least the next month.
Well, I mean, if you poured buckets of blood, then you shouldn't be.
And then they're also promoting the Queen of the Ring movie as best as they can, and boy, that was tragic. I don't think that happened yet, but it was.
Did you watch it? Or are you watching it tomorrow?
No, tomorrow I will see the movie, and I will give you my review of the film next week. Monday.
All right, good. That's good. It's be interesting to hear.
You know what, Malik? I'm gonna go try to see it this week also, just so we're all on the same.
I was like for $8. I was like, why not? For 2 tickets at $8, that's a steal in my book. Where these balloons come from? What the hell? Did you see that?
I did. Yeah.
Let me see.
If you do a thumbs up, it'll pop
thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
the iPhone is crazy.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, he's celebrating. He's going to see a movie.
See a movie.
Celebration.
But as far as the Toni Storm Mariah May match,
bad.
That's what I'm giving it.
Look at this. Malik's doing his own producing over there.
Yeah.
His own special effects.
Looking over there with just hand signals. Okay, so now listen. So far, I really literally missed nothing.
We haven't won you over. We're like, oh, I missed that.
So far, because I'll tell you, most of my night yesterday was taken up by WWE 2K25, and
I don't blame you.
It sounds like I didn't miss a thing, and I had a blast doing what I was doing. So continue. So now you have a debacle of a women's championship match. What does that lead to next?
Konosuke Takeshita taking on Kenny Omega for the AEW International Championship.
Okay.
This is basically, to me now, they are 1-1, even though. Uh-oh.
My wife says, "God bless you." She thought you sneezed.
Oh. I appreciate that.
There you go.
But to me, I thought that was match of the night for me. It was a very solid match. Completely different finish. You know,
I wasn't crazy about the roll-up finish.
I actually, for the few times, I didn't have an issue with it because it wasn't like he beat him with his finisher. So now they're more than likely going to go back to having a rematch.
Right, and then the storyline could be that he's never hit the one-winged angel on him.
Yeah, it's like, you stole one on me. You got me, but, it was a fluke. So
my problem with Kenny Omega is it doesn't, like, you could turn around and say, oh, you never got the one-winged angel on me. But when he finally does hit it in the match, he'll hit it about 72 more times in that match to get the finish. That's
to be fair. A lot, like, there's only two people that I've seen in recent memory where their finishers are like truly protected. One is Baron Corbin, the other is Kenny Omega. So as far as that goes, is watching Omega, I can't believe we've actually spent 30 minutes on this subject. Holy shit! Oh my god!
I will say there was one thing in the match that annoyed me a little bit that I didn't like, and I think it's just me nitpicking. I don't like Takeshita taking the table out and trying to set it up like he's going to use it for a move. At that point,
What should be a DQ at that point?
Right. I think if you would have just had Don Callis did it, I think it would have had the same effect. The way they used the table in the match was fine. Like, he's working on the ribs, which this was one of the better storytelling matches. How the flow of the match went.
The fact that you're saying that and it's a Kenny Omega match I'm shocked.
No, that's it. I don't agree with. For me, it wasn't a match. I really did enjoy the cage match.
Okay,
but I will say it was, as far as storytelling, it made sense.
Okay.
Right. Okay. The cage match. There are some things I enjoyed. There are some things I was just like, now what if you fall?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Either, and here's my thing. It wasn't even necessarily based upon a move. What if you fall? Kyle Fletcher makes his entrance to the ring and he decides to climb the top of the cage.
Which he almost slips.
Yeah, so I was like, what if you fall and you tweak something? You pull a stinger and you just bust up your knee,
Yeah.
He goes to start climbing up. He nearly slips and falls off, but he manages to gather his grip. He's standing up there waiting for Kenny Omega to make his entrance, and Omega climbs up to the other side.
Ospreay.
Ospreay. And all you have is a visual of the two of these men just standing at the top of the cage, staring at each other. What a cool picture to take.
Okay, so I didn't hate that. What I hate with that is we're doing the old Kevin Dunn 46 WWE camera angles instead of just focusing on the two of them staring at each other from opposite ends of the cage and laying out and letting the crowd give it a little more.
Mm.
I actually like that, them up there. This is it. This is the final thing with these two.
I would have preferred the two of them standing down on the mat as opposed to standing up on the cage as dick statues. Let's just get in the ring, do the classic face to face, and then we start throwing hands. Because climbing all the way up at the top, I was like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Slowly walk to your opponent and then start weakly throwing hands? No.
No, they'll do that thing where they straddle the cage and just kind of shimmy across it to each other. It makes no sense.
Also, Ospreay's extra whatever this was
You know
for
what that
his
was?
entrance.
They wanted to use the light board in the stadium. That's all that was.
Goodness gracious.
That's
I
all
was
that
like,
was.
because Kyle Fletcher's literally sitting there and waiting for this dickhead man to just come out, and I was just like, bro.
At least
like,
at least have like a famous DJ or something doing it. Like,
Yeah.
fucking,
If there was something to look at, I'm assuming they
like
were just
Steve
highlighting-
like Steve Aoki was up on the stage fucking doing shit,
Yeah.
and
That
the
would
lights
be-
are going off.
Yeah, that'd be one thing. Yeah. Just to have it like that. Again, they don't really have much of a vision. It seems for their product. They just kind of throw shit and just like, hopefully this works. Hopefully this works. We'll just try this because it to me reeks of desperation when you watch it. Like I said, from the few episodes that I've watched when I started, I really gave it a chance.
it's still crazy that the shortest match on the entire card was the tag title match, and it led with very decent psychology for a match.
Yeah.
I like the cage match for me was the best. I like the story it tells. Like, I know it was a ton of spots. The one spot that watching it before, I don't fucking understand.
Oh, like when you put your tongue through the cage because you want to lick the blood?
Well,
like that?
Kyle Fletcher did that about 4 times. How that man doesn't have AIDS or herpes right now, I don't know. That Spanish fly off the top of the cage made absolutely no fucking sense.
It's already difficult enough that it shows how cooperative you have to be when doing such a move like a superplex, like a Spanish fly, like a Hurricane Rana. That was one of those moves that it was just like, you didn't need to do that off of the cage.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
But the actual ending, and I thought that I like the hidden blade. I get the significance of the Tiger Driver onto the Tiger Driver at the end.
Mhm.
The Styles clash onto the tax was fucking great.
Oh, that was crazy.
That's a spot that I'm like, all right, that's a badass spot.
That was pretty crazy.
But now we get to the main event.
Before you do that,
5 hours.
before you guys do that, let's answer some questions.
Okay.
Somebody suggested that Tacheshka, whatever his name is, should go to WWE. Is that you guys believe? That
Here's my thing. I think one of the biggest issues sometimes that we have is that we Ricochet. If somebody said, "Oh, Ricochet is better off suited in AEW," somebody would probably disagree. Be like, "No, he's better off in WWE." Like, no, he's actually adapting over there in that pool of talent. Konosuke Takeshita probably, to me, works out great whether he's in AEW or WWE.
Okay.
People would probably appreciate him more if he was in WWE based upon how he would be produced.
Okay.
Here, I think he's been able to flourish on his own and he's done fine. It's just that there was a problem where it was start and stop on getting him showcased.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's on the short list. I always say him and Hobbs, I would 100% love to see.
I just want to bring up that doing moves on chairs, whether it be a jumping spike tombstone or a brainbuster through a chair, does not win you any matches here. Just thought you should
forgot about that one. Yeah,
do that.
Just thought you should know that.
Pun says they didn't do a cool DJ for this guy's entrance, but they had a dumb drummer for Swerve, which made no sense.
I forgot about that.
Well,
you need a drummer for a rap song. That makes plenty of sense.
There's a drum line, bud.
I wish it was a drum line. If it's a drum line, it makes sense.
That's not a bad movie. One mind, one sound. Anyway,
Nico Trana says the rumors that WWE is going to let Shinsuke go when his deal is up. Is there any? Have you guys heard about that yet? I haven't heard anything.
I mean, if it's true, all he's been doing is surfing. If he goes over to AEW, it won't come as a shock to me.
Yeah. I like this presentation of Shinsuke though, with the whole like evil,
the dark. Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
I feel in WWE right now, like, let's be honest, Roman Reigns, Punk's not doing it, but maybe Seth. There's maybe about 3 or 4 guys that if they left WWE, you'd be like, oh, all right, this is something big for AEW. Yeah. Anybody else, you're just kind of like, yeah, okay.
All right, so here it is, the main event. Jon Moxley takes on Cope. for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. All eyes are on Revolution right now as the scope of the wrestling business is at stake. The Death Rider, the title in a suitcase, boys.
I was just going to say, he didn't take him on for the AEW title. He took him on for the gray briefcase that he carries around. Okay. Okay. This, listen, I love to shit on. Oh, I want to bring a stat up real quick just because Hun brought this to my attention the other day. Do you know that Jinder Mahal's one WWE title reign is longer than every single reign that Edge ever had with the title?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, moving on. I want to give a little credit to Cope. I'm going to use Cope. His gear, since he's come back to wrestle, like even in WWE and even to now, I've loved it. Like I love that he goes with all these cool colors and shit. Yeah, that's my positive of the match.
Here's my thing. The match itself was not a bad match. The match itself. It wasn't great. It was a decent match. And the issue comes into play with how, we're going towards the finish.
I like how it wasn't your typical Moxley match. It wasn't a bloodfest of, him blading 6 minutes into the match just because he's John Moxley. That's what he does.
Fucking A, man. That guy sucks. Oh, my God. But continue. Were there any good? I mean, I did see one thing this morning that was involving Christian, and I felt like that didn't. I was confused by it. Didn't make any sense. But I'll let you guys.
Okay, so allow me to remind you that Christian won the right to challenge in this big ass gauntlet match they did it all in London last year. He's been holding on to this contract for since August of last year?
Okay. Yes. Well, he beat. No. Oh, yeah, August. London. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, Greco, are you high right now? I was like, wait a minute. Or are you drinking? I was like, hey, we're all right here, baby.
I'm sorry.
Talking about this show will do that to you, so I can't really fault you. And he's teased about basically doing a cash in. It's basically Money in the Bank. It's basically Feast or Fire. It's everything that you could think of with what they're trying to do because everybody has to do their own spinoff of Money in the Bank.
Well, first Wheeler Useless comes out and Jay White tries to help him out, like interfere. And I thought that's when we were going to get the Jay White turn. I had said that to you yesterday, but he actually helped, but he accidentally hits Cope with the briefcase.
Oh, I missed that. I didn't even see that. I turned my head or something.
Accidentally, and it was a good accidental. It wasn't like he's setting him up and he just he's not looking and he just turns to fire and Moxley moves.
Gotcha.
Right.
So it wasn't like one of those oops accidentals. It was like oh shit, I fucked up.
Okay, so how does Christian factor in?
So Christian then comes out and he joins the match as he makes it a triple threat.
Okay.
Hits Edge with the Unprettier, goes for the pin, and Moxley, Edge kicks out, and then at some point Moxley then puts Christian in the Bulldog choke and chokes out Christian to win the match.
So the funny part is Christian actually had a pin while being in the Bulldog choke.
Yes.
Jesus. Like he had his hand. He had his hand on Cope.
Yep.
In order to try to get a victory, but obviously when it came to 2, he pulled up because he's in the Bulldog choke, and of course he is choked out.
Yep.
Listen. I thought their last pay-per-view ending was badly in the Fatal 4-Way match that they had.
No, this was awesome.
This is on top of the list and goes above it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Because they wanted to come out and try to give you some sort of shock value. And all they did was upset you.
And even worse, as Moxley's now leaving through the crowd, Prince Nana's in like a hallway type thing. And Moxley's like, what's going on? And Swerve jumps from like the second tier or whatever onto Moxley. And then just poses.
He just double stomps on in so we could set up for Dynasty.
Jesus Christ. Christ.
My issue, especially if I'm a fan, why wouldn't you just have Nana come stand out by the ring and Swerve come behind him, hit him with the double stomp? And I'll give you something crazy. Swerve just opens the briefcase.
Mm.
I'm the number one contender. I want my belt back. It would have been fine. I would have been like, you know what, the match was shit, but at least you got a go-home ending.
And I don't think anybody's looking forward to seeing Swerve and Moxley.
Want to listen to that? You guys know anybody who likes it, who likes this stuff? Like,
no,
you talk to your friends, wrestling fans. My wife just suggested we should talk to a fan and of AEW who probably thought this was good and try to see into their psyche. But I think in doing so, it might destroy the space-time continuum, and we might just all go.
What will happen is, here's the thing: you would have to screen test talking to people in order to do this, because I'm not willing. Here's my thing: I don't like actually talking to strangers about wrestling unless, like, I'll be like, oh, it sounds like you know some shit. Okay.
Yeah.
When it's talking to people that are complete strangers that I'm around while being at a wrestling show, I'm ready to pull a bullet in my brain, bro.
Yep.
Like, that's it.
Yep.
I'll be like, I can't do this.
I would say to Pun all the time, it has to be us. Because, like, people just start coming up to talk to us about it, and I'm just like, oh my God, get the fuck away from me.
Remember, I told you I fell asleep at the last AEW show I went to.
I know even better. Yeah. I wore the other day to Disney Springs. I wore a Yeet shirt, and it was the biggest mistake I could ever make.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Every single person walked by, Yeet, Yeet. I'm just like, oh my fucking God!
But you know something that doesn't bother me too much. Here's something that I'm going to tell you. When I used to be a bouncer, bouncing at bars, I had all my freaking chocolate jackets. I wasn't even wearing anything NWO related. Nothing NWO related. Dude literally came across the street to say what's up to me and to sweet me. I was just like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
He sensed the wrestling fan aura. Yeah.
Like, why, big man? It's Undisputed Era. It's not NWO. Like, what are we doing?
Well, we can put the bow on AEW, though, for now.
That was real bad. I will end it with Rough Shot's comment, if you want to bring that back up, babe.
Okay.
He says, AEW has some moments of hope, glimmers of greatness, but it all comes crashing down in the end. It's because
and it doesn't hurt. It'll hurt your insides.
Yes, it's because they don't know how to execute properly.
Yes.
They have talent. I'm not saying they don't have talent. There's a lot of talent there. The problem is the lack of leadership and the lack of creativity to make these storylines and angles execute correctly. What you just told me just sounds like an indie show that we've probably filmed 10 times over. It's just bedlam. The finishes make no sense, and we're just going to have gimmick matches for the sake of having gimmick matches. It's not. They're indie fans. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So what you could have did, and the way, like, again, this is just us armchair quarterbacking. Like, if that pay-per-view was 7 matches, right? And you just take off 2 matches. Like, the MJF Hangman thing, you didn't need to build this whole feud up in 3 weeks to put on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, no.
Okay? And what I will say, the one thing with AEW is if they ever just sat back and looked at it, they have guys that they were making into their own stars. Not saying that they're big draws, but you have MJF, you have Hangman, you have Hobbs. You have Takeshita. You have Ospreay now. You don't need to keep